Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Novelists Unwind. This is Johnnie Alexander. I'm really excited today to have as my guest Stacy Monson. Stacy is a returning guest. She was one of the first people I had about 2 years ago when Novelists Unwind first started, and it's really fun to have her back. If you have been following me on Facebook or get my newsletter or anything like that, you know that I'm now part of a wonderful group of authors, international group, called the Mosaic Collection. And Stacy is the first one to have her book released as part of that collection. So we are just super excited that this project we've been working on for about a year now, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, has finally, the very first book has been released. So we're going to talk to Stacy about that and, other things too. So Stacy, congratulations.
Thank you. It does feel like forever. We've been working on this forever, and I've been working on this book forever, and that's what it feels like. So to finally launch it, it's funny. I almost feel like, now what do I do with myself? I write another book is what I do.
Right, start on the next one.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of fun. Stacy was the one who actually invited me to join the collection. I think why don't you tell us a little bit about how the idea for how it got started, and then we'll talk about your new book.
My book. There were a number of us here in the Twin Cities who just got together for lunch one day, and we were talking about how much we hate marketing. You want to just write, I don't want to market, I hate marketing, I don't know how to market. And it was me, Brenda Anderson, Joy DeCook, and Barbara Brink. And we just first we were talking online, and then we got together, and we don't necessarily live that close to each other, but we're within kind of the metro area. And we were saying, well, what if we put a group together that would do some some marketing of each other. So we're all indie published. We all take care of that piece, but then we will market with each other. And so from there, it just started building, and we thought, okay, we can do this. And how do we do this? And so we spent a lot of time praying about it. Okay, God, who do we ask? And there were some people we asked who said they just, they were too busy, or their agent didn't think it was a good idea, or they, for whatever reason, or they had no idea who we were. And from there, we just started praying about, bring names to mind. And you were the first one that popped up for me. You said yes, yay! And it's been interesting, because as we've built this, or maybe as God has built this, we've now got 4 authors from Canada who I would never have known. One in Kentucky, one in Nebraska. I'm trying to think of where
Iowa.
Someone's in Iowa, and you, wherever you land.
Oklahoma right now.
Yeah, okay, yes. Wasn't sure if you were still in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I am still in Oklahoma.
Okay. And it just started, the pieces started going together, and we write different genres. And so we thought, well, it'd be fun to introduce readers to other genres, because you tend to read, at least I do, you read what you like, what you know.
Sure.
And so we have romantic suspense, we have family drama, we have all sorts of genres. And so now the goal is, as we market to each other's audiences, hopefully new readers will discover us, and then we'll find out, who actually is willing to try some other books, and they'll have new authors to focus on. So that's been the gist of it. The name Mosaic, how did we come up with the name?
It was a process. I mean, we just were like throwing out different ideas, I think, and that one was one we all gravitated towards, and I don't even know who actually came up with it first, but it was like, yeah, this is what we are, because all the books are contemporaries, but like you said, they're different kinds of contemporaries. They're not all going to be the same. So it was like, that was a mosaic, and then we're all in different periods of our lives and so forth. So that's kind of like a mosaic. And
Mhm.
I don't know, it really fit and it really worked. So
So
yeah.
off we go with this first book. I don't know about this being the guinea pig thing, but so my big fear is if nobody likes the book, the rest of you are in trouble.
We're
So,
all in trouble. But I don't think that's going to be a problem. I read the book, was it not yesterday, the day before, and actually, stayed up late and to finish it because I just had to know how it was all going to come together. It is a fabulous book, and I'm not just saying that because Stacy is a friend and one of my Mosaic authors.
yeah, you're not being paid to say that. You don't have to say it.
It truly, truly is just a fabulous, fabulous story that brings in just a lot of different emotions and this girl's struggles and thoughts about what is truth. And I don't want to give any spoilers away, and I won't, but I think one of the fabulous things about the story as you get towards the end is how these sisters all had a different perspective of their childhoods that was kind of at odds with each other, and not necessarily in a bad way. But you see that they all had their own insecurities where each sister thought the other one just had it all together. Then you see that each sister thought that about the other
about the other one. And that's kind of life. We always think other people have it all together. And then we realize, especially on like Facebook or something like that, where,
Exactly.
It's everybody putting their best face forward, but inside we're all kind of a mess.
Yeah, kind of lost. Okay, well, show us the book. And now the paperback is out now. The ebook's back. So yeah, get it right up there to the camera. It is so, so pretty. And you'll see Mosaic, that is going to be on top of all of our books, will be that Mosaic Collection.
Sorry, it's backwards.
I'm not seeing it backwards. So
oh, good.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be okay. When Mountains Sing. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you came about. Are you an outdoorsy person yourself? I thought you'd laugh at that.
Do I look like an outdoorsy person?
No, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I want to now go hike in the Rocky Mountains. I am so not that kind of person. But it just sounds so beautiful, and it's like, oh, I want to go do that. So yeah, tell us how a non-outdoorsy person wrote this fabulous outdoorsy heroine, Michaela Gordon.
Well, it's all imagination. It always cracks me up. Yeah, you always hear, write what you know. Okay, my first book was about a fashion spokesmodel, and my second book was about a dancer who had a physical injury, and so it's like, this one I don't know how I made her so outdoorsy. I love the mountains. I don't live in the mountains. I live in Minnesota, in the suburbs of Minnesota. But I love, my favorite place in the world is like Tahoe, and I love every time I get to be out in the mountains. There's just something that's like for me, and so I kept trying to fit it into other books, and it just didn't work. So I thought, okay, fine, I'm going to write a book in the mountains. And so I don't even know how she evolved. The story is about a sister. There are 3 sisters in this family. She is a twin, very opposite of her twin, who is very much a fashionista type. She likes to design fashions. She's very girly. Michaela is very not, never has been, adores their father. And she and Dad have fished together, hiked together. Everything she's learned is from Dad. She discovers right away early in the book that she has a medical condition, and that starts kind of this whole thing unraveling that she didn't even know, was an issue with the family. And it sets her on a journey to figure out, okay, who really am I then? All of my books have to do with identity. And so apparently I'm still trying to figure out who I am. I don't know. But she's off on this journey to find this person. And what happens to her along the way is kind of what can happen to all of us. There are bumps in the road. There are things come up, frustrations. You're just stumbling along in life, and yet God puts just the right people in place to help you, and that's what she encounters. And finally encounters Dawson, who actually wasn't even in the book, and he showed up one day, and I kept trying to push him off the page, and he kept coming back on. So
That's so fun.
yeah, I know. People, if you don't write, you kind of don't get it.
I
But
know.
times where you're writing, and all of a sudden this character pops up, and you think,
And you're like, oh, hi.
What? Do you have a brother? I didn't know you had a brother. So now you got to work the brother into the story. And so he has his own story that has brought him to where he is now. And so he shares his faith with her. She's not really anti-faith. She's just, God was not part of their lives growing up. So it's kind of an internal and an external journey for her.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And she's accompanied on this journey by Lula.
Lula. Lula is based on my girlfriend's grand dog, who is a Chian, which is a Chihuahua Papillon mix, the cutest little thing. She doesn't have the big, she still has all the fur, but Papillons can have these huge.
Oh, yeah, I've got a Papillon. He's in the other room. He's got those big butterfly ears.
Yep, big butterfly ears. And so hers are a little more toned down, and she's smaller probably than yours.
Yeah, I think so.
Got the Chihuahua mix. And she was an accident. So it was not something that Michaela had never had a pet. And so she ended up with this dog. And the dog became a character in the book. And so that was kind of fun. And the name comes from Pocoyo, which is a children's, it's an animated show, and it's the cutest little thing. And the dog on the show is Lula. And so Lula was in my head. It's not the dog's real name in real life, but.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Well, and I know too, and because I've heard you talk about this elsewhere, that this is the first, and I've read it. I think you've got 4 other books out, and I have read 2 of them, and they're also really, really good. And this is the first time you've written from just one point of view throughout the whole story. So, yeah, tell us a little bit. Why did you decide not to have like Dawson's point of view, and just stick with Michaela's throughout the entire novel?
Well, I don't really write romance,
right?
Romance where it's supposed to be both. All of the books, all of the books have the other books have a male, female perspective, and the male is more prominent. Well, is equally prominent in the book. In this one, it was just going to be her story, and then. Like I said, Dawson just, kind of showed up. and so I had already been in her perspective for like half the book. And I couldn't figure out, I tried to change the story so that we'd get into his perspective in the early part of the book. And then it was like, no, it was real contrived to try to get them together. Because why would you be hearing about this guy who's in some other state? And so it just worked that I had to stay in her perspective. And that was really good because I was kind of surprised sometimes by what would happen and how we just see life through our own perspective. And I couldn't do first person. That one I couldn't do. But at least just staying in her point of view, I hope really takes the reader on her journey. And that kind of bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I didn't miss having a different point of view at all. I really enjoyed just really digging deep into how she was coping with different things because, you know, she gets a blow, like you said early on, first with the medical news and then what that leads to. And then there are other blows that keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of tough to what she had to deal with.
And to add another point of view, then kind of messes with that and then pulls you out of her journey. So it actually turned out good. So as I do books 2 and 3, I will have to stay in Lindy, her twins' perspective, and in Maggie's perspective.
Right.
So, and they're very different. Lindy, the second sister, is the fashionista. And then the third book is Maggie, who's the oldest sister of the 3. And she is a pediatric surgeon. And I know a lot about that. It's I got to start researching that now. But so it's again a very different voice. So hopefully that'll come through in each of the books.
Yeah, that is so great. Well, I'm just so excited. I mean, we really have been working behind the scenes for so long, just talking about our books and how we're going to do this, and you know, just all these different aspects. And now to have Stacy's book out is just so great. I mean, I think release day, well, by the time this is actually aired, it'll be a couple weeks. It was just yesterday for what we're talking right now.
It was yesterday, so we're still excited, but I'll be excited 2 weeks from now too. So
absolutely. Just show us the book one more time.
Of course, I threw it away.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. The cover's so beautiful, and we've seen the covers for the next 2 books, I think, maybe 2 or 3 books.
Yeah. We've seen all 3. So Eleanor Burton is next, and she has Unbound, and then Deb Elkink has The Red Journal, and Brenda Anderson has A Beautiful Mess. And they're so completely different, but all of them have family as the main theme. And so it's so fun to see how our stories are so different, and yet we're going to learn something from everyone in every book. So, and
all the covers are just lovely. We have the same cover designer, so you know, just a little tidbit. So he'll be doing all the books in the Mosaic Collection and doing just a fabulous. I mean, like, my book doesn't come out till May. It hasn't even been written yet. It really is just sort of. I mean, I'm thinking about it, of course. It's like, oh, that seems so long, and I can't wait. And yet I know it's going to be here before we know it.
So get busy.
I know, I need to get busy. Well, I'm writing another book first, and it has to be done first. Okay, I also, before we go, I want to encourage you all to look at Stacy's website, Ordinary Me, Extraordinary God. Also the name of her newsletter, so which is fabulous. You want to get that. And also to invite you to, so let me back up, stacymonson.com, stacymonson.com. Also mosaiccollectionbooks.com, and you can sign up for our monthly newsletter there called Grace and Glory. And we're all going to be having launch teams, so if you want to be part of that, you know, we invite you to be part of that. And I think there's probably information on the website on how you can do that. And yeah, Stacy's book is out. Her launch team is already in place, but she'll be doing another book.
Yes, we will.
All this collapses on us, which I don't think is going to. I think we're building something really solid here. So, you know.
Very exciting. We also have there's a Mosaic Collection Books Facebook page for readers, and that's been fun. There's a lot of interaction there. We pray for each other. We just chat, you know, and have fun. The readers group, people find out about the books first. They can chat with the authors. So you're welcome to join the readers group. I don't know. We have a couple hundred people after
already, and it hasn't even been going on that long. So that's really great. So we should shout out to Camry Christ, who is Stacy's daughter, but also our fabulous VA, and she creates these marvelous memes and keeps us on track. And we just
really do.
Yeah, that's great. Well, last question I always ask. I don't know if you remember answering this from when you were on here before. This has been a while. But when you hit the end, when you got to the end of Michaela's story, what did you do to unwind?
Oh, yeah. Forgot you asked that question. I think I started over with edits.
Yeah.
The story had changed so much that I hit the end and I was like, wow, I think I like this story. I like these people. I like, and then by the time you get through about the third edit, you don't like the book and you don't like the book.
I know.
But my unwinding is reading, but it's also writing. I just love to write. And so we have a Christmas anthology coming out in December. And so that'll be the end of Michaela's story and the start of Lindy. So that'll be something for everybody to look for. So that was my unwinding, is just thinking about where do I get to go next, because I don't know with all these people yet. So
yeah, that Christmas anthology, I was looking at my writing schedule yesterday after we sort of started talking about that again. And I'm like,
I wonder what I'm going to write that. So,
I'm writing it in September.
My writing schedule is not quite as tight as Johnny's, so I have a little more time. You're busy.
I know. It's like, I think I know what I'm going to do, but it's so nebulous. So, anyway. Stacy, thank you so much for being my guest again. It's always a pleasure. I'm so glad that God had our paths cross the way they did all those years ago. And
started over pizza, and we're still going.
Here we still are. So
Yeah.
it's fabulous. You just never know how God's going to weave people's lives together, and it's just fun. So thank you, and thanks everybody for watching, and always glad to have you here. And see you next time on Novelists Unwind. Bye bye.
Bye bye.